afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lessons in Leadership. Lessons in Leadership is a wonderful opportunity for us, for myself, to actually interview some of the legends in hospitality that we have around the country, and specifically those that are members of the Southern Innkeepers Association. So just to revive your memory, Southern Innkeepers is an historic association over 100 years old. And it started with the Greenbrier and the Breakers having a staffing shortage and trading employees in their off season to make things work. And it sounds a lot like today. And so as we are hoteliers, we reach out across the aisle and like to learn from our brothers and sisters in the industry, and we can learn so much from them. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Brent Cross. And Brent is the Assistant General Manager of the Gasparilla Inn in Boca Grande. And what a charming, historic, and exceptionally notable property that you run, Brent. So I'd love to hear a little bit about you and about your property. And I'm so happy that we have the opportunity to spend a little time together today.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Elizabeth. And not only for today, but putting these series together, it's been a huge asset for our company as we meet with our teams. And like you said, I don't think there's another industry around that works together so well, even with competing properties and bouncing ideas off. And the Southern Innkeepers have been a huge asset to have as we navigate many different situations on a daily basis. So thank you again for today and all you've done. So yes, you hit it right there. I'm the Assistant General Manager at the Gasparilla Inn and Club. We are located on Gasparilla Island in the town of Boca Grande, and we're about an hour and a half south of Sarasota and about an hour and a half north, 2 hours north of Naples on a small barrier island about 7 miles long. And the Gasparilla Inn and Club has been welcoming guests for many years. We're actually celebrating our 109th season this year. So we are very excited every year to have returning guests and members and to come and enjoy this special place. And it is something that over the 100-year span has continued to evolve. We've added things here or there. We have modernized a little bit since that opening in 1913. But, a very special place. Boca Grande is a very quaint town. You come to this area and you get on a bicycle, you get on a golf cart, everything at that toll bridge when you go over the bridge kind of releases from you. And it's a great place to relax and have a good time. So the inn is made up of about 150, 160 acres here on the island. And we definitely serve as the Chamber of Commerce and the main driver of the economic viability of the island. And we've got about 150 guest rooms now, and that continues to increase. And we're a full service resort with a spa and a golf course and tennis courts and croquet and a marina and multiple food and beverage outlets. So as this has kind of transformed over the years, and we've had some great ownership and some unbelievable persons who have nurtured this historical property and have done it the right way. And luckily we have kind of continued with that suit here in the last few years, and we're continuing to grow and continue to become more efficient and really trying to put ourselves on the map as one of the premier destinations.
So a couple things I'd love to ask you about your property, since I've been before and was absolutely blown away by the beauty and the service. But what struck me is people have said you can go to X place to experience old Florida. And the minute I drove onto the island, I felt I had arrived at old Florida. How do you keep that charm alive?
That is, the charm of this island is something that I don't think you see many other places. And in a time where people are trying to evolve and get bigger and have more things, we've tried to keep that at a minimum here. And, it starts with our ownership, and there's a very clear vision. Sarah and Will Farish, who have been a part of this property, and their family continues to spend Christmases here and holidays here, and this is where they want to be. That's where it starts. And there's a philosophy put forth from them, and all the residents of this island have bought into that. and understand that we do have something special here. And sometimes it's difficult not to see that and want to do more and want to be bigger and more people, but that just takes away from the lure of this property. And, so we are, at the end of the day, we're stewards of this place. We are stewards of this hotel, this island. And, so we're going to kind of keep it how it is and keep that historical preservation that we've had. And, but it's every day that we're working towards those goals to make it even better than it's been.
And I would imagine it's such a privilege to be able to serve a guest base that for many, I would assume, have spent generations coming to Gasparilla. What's that like?
That is, and you're correct in that. We pride ourselves on the repeat business, and we have persons that, we have one of our former dining room managers that, will work a wedding, and that bride actually was, in diapers in the dining room 30 years prior. And, so it's those type of relationships. I think there's a lot of great properties throughout the country and a lot of great places to go. But I think what a lot of these properties do that kind of set themselves different is the experience and the relationship that you build. And, a lot of our people, when they're coming in, they're saying, welcome home. And we feel that, whether that's the living room here in the main hotel, that is, you just want to sit down and read a book or, play backgammon or whatever. But, we really want to, have that feeling when people come in to feel like they are back home. And the repeat business that we've had over the years is a great testament to what the product we've put forward, but then also just the support that everyone has given us as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now you have an amazing gig running the Gasparilla Inn, but talk to me about your background. How did you start, and how did you work your way to where you are today?
Well, that's interesting because sitting here 10, 15, 20 years ago, I don't think hotels were even on my radar. And it's actually just every single year, it seems like more of this hospitality gets into me, and I want to continue to grow. But originally I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and I went to the University of Kentucky, and upon graduation was a little unsure what I wanted to do. So at that point, I had some mutual contacts within this property and Lexington, and they said, well, what about if you tried Gasparilla Inn for a season, decide, is it law school, is it business school, is it, what do you want to do? So I actually had zero experience within the hospitality field, food and beverage or anything before taking that position in 2008 as a front desk attendant. And I assumed that role for a season and had some great mentors here, and general managers and the director of food and beverage and some of our director of rooms, who's really kind of nurtured me through the process. And I spent my first season in 2008 at the front desk and enjoyed it. And I'll never forget, we closed 2 weeks early, and we'll talk about this a little bit. We closed 2 weeks early because we didn't have enough business to stay open those 2 weeks in June. We're a seasonal property, and we opened the first part of October and closed July 4th. However, that year we had no bookings, and that's something way of the past now because everyone wants to be here at this point, but we closed early. And I'll never forget, I was flying home and, settling into Kentucky for the summer because we were going to be closed here at the hotel. And I got a call from the general manager at that point, Jack DeMoley, and he said, Brent, we need someone to come clean carpets for the summer. And I said, you've got your guy. So I was on the next flight, maybe 12 hours later, back down here to be a part of the housekeeping team and clean carpets for that summer, which really gave me the idea of how this could kind of work and how could this cultivate it, being in all the guest rooms and doing inventories and seeing those things. So at that point, I really tried to commit myself to growing, and I wanted to learn everything that I possibly could about the hospitality industry, but also this property. It is so unique, and a lot of the persons that we talk to, have been at a lot of different properties. However, this is kind of where I've been, and I've learned everything here, which can be an advantage for this property, but also a disadvantage of seeing things. So, so I worked here at the front desk again for another season and assumed the housekeeping manager position the season after that, and spent 4 or 5 years here just really bouncing around, trying to learn everything that I possibly could. I spent stints at the bell stand, concierge desk, reservations office, was housekeeping manager for 2 years, and then back as a front desk manager. And, really got to see that operational side of the hotel. And it's something that I enjoyed. My education was more in economics and accounting. And so in 2012, I had decided to return to graduate school to get my MBA. And I really liked the hospitality side of it, but kind of wanted to get back to my roots a little bit. So at that time, my wife and I returned to Kentucky, where I received my MBA. I worked for some bank holding companies and kind of learned more the analytical side. But I always had that passion for hospitality. And luckily in 2015, I was approached to come back down here and actually work in accounting for the Gasparilla Inn, and came back thinking that was going to kind of be it. I was going to, be the accountant here for the hotel for the foreseeable future. But then in 2018, we had some changes with some of the management. And at that point, I was approached to take over the operations position, which is kind of what I assume now, and kind of see the day-to-day operations of the hotel. So, like I said, nothing really entrenched to me young at an age to be here. And I think it's every season just seems to tack on a little bit more and learn a little bit more. But it's been a great ride, and something that, I've been able to pull together different jobs and different experiences and situations that have kind of got me to the level that I am today. And we've got an awesome team. We've put together a great operations team that we speak frequently, and we really look at the efficiencies of how we make this thing tick every day.
What a great story. I love that you came into the business without intention to be in the business. It was intention to have a job, not necessarily to be a hotelier.
Exactly.
And you grew into that. And then you left it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it pulled you back. And that's what happens in the hotel business is, if you get bitten by the hotel bug, it becomes much more than a job. It becomes a lifestyle and a passion and a hobby, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
And as you talk about it, I just feel that passion from you. And that's so exciting to see. And so literally what I love is there's no day that repeats itself. Every day is different. Our guests are different. Running a hotel is like running a small city. We actually have tentacles everywhere. And so it's never a boring job. It's incredibly exciting. And so for those of you listening to Brent, you can see he grew up in this business a step at a time, progressing and taking on many challenges along the way. And it's a great story for us all to be inspired by, because it's truly how you get to lead these businesses that we're in. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I also know that as we think about this career path along the journey, there's good stuff and there's bad stuff, right? And so all of that, though, makes us better at the end of the day. And so as you look back over your history at Gasparilla and your time in the hospitality industry, talk to me first about, hey, here are some great things that I did, and my team and I did, that we're really proud of. And then conversely, the back end of the question, I want you to talk about what you recently went through, which was Hurricane Ian, and walk us through what it felt like to go through it, and then what happened after. So I turn it over to you.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because as we grow within the hotel industry, and we kind of put our teams together and assemble them, you never think that even some of these smaller meetings you're having on a daily basis, or things that go on with a guest or a member or employee, it really is preparing you for something like we witnessed in September with Hurricane Ian. And it's not necessarily a hurricane preparedness thing, but the communication side of it, the trust that you have to build. And all these things are kind of a culmination that you build up over months and weeks and years with your team. And that's what we have done. So we knew in the event, whether that was an unruly guest or that was, something going on at the hotel that was an issue, we've put those places and those things in place so that we can understand communication wise and how we act and how we react to things will ensure that we get the best result. And that is something that we pride ourselves on, especially here, is we're in the same room. And we do that on a weekly, sometimes a couple of times a week. We're in the same room talking about problems. How are things working? Are you happy? Are you not happy? And, it's more so than just the operational side of the hotel. It is a huge thing that you spend a lot of hours here at work. And we want to understand that we're making the best decisions for everyone. So I think those relationships and that communication that we had better served us as Hurricane Ian, approached us in September. And being where we're at, we're accustomed to some of these hurricane preparedness plans and what you do. And, it's kind of one of those things, you've got a couple of days, you try to put as much stuff inside and hold on tight. And, fortunately, during my tenure here and even the long tenure of the hotel, we have witnessed some hurricanes, but the damage has always been somewhat minimal or something we could work with. And Hurricane Ian was the same thing. It was a little bit higher level of damage than we probably would have preferred, but it's something that we persevered through. And we made it known very quickly that we were going to take care of everyone first. And we were going to put certain parameters in place to ensure that everyone was safe, whether that was vacating the island and making sure they had somewhere to go, sending them to the east coast of Florida, sending them to central Florida, wherever it may be. We wanted to ensure that everyone had a place to go and that they were safe, first and foremost. And at the end of the day, that happened, and everyone is safe. Yes, there was loss. Yes, there's personal loss, but at the end of the day, everyone's safe. They're still here and happy to be back. So, I don't think there's a plan that you can even put in place to know what to do in one of these instances. And it was something that it goes day by day that you kind of decide how you're going to decipher this. But we did have a couple points. And like I said, the first was safety. After the storm hit, it was important for us to give people time, personal time, to figure out what's going on. If you have a catastrophe at the hotel, whether that's a fire or a flood, it's very singular to the hotel. What happened here in September was so broad that it was very difficult for me to ask someone to come in here and patch a roof when there may not be a roof on their own home. So we were very cognizant, very careful on how we brought the team back. We worked half days for the first couple of weeks because we felt like it was more important. Come put in a couple hours, go home, meet with your insurance adjusters, go check on your parents, get whatever fixed, whatever you need. So, we were very compassionate in how that was going to work because we knew at the end of the day, the end was going to come back. We have the relationships, we have the skill set to get the end back. But on a personal level, we needed to make sure that was going to happen. And, and a couple of examples of that, we went and pulled majority of our contractors and stuff, we pulled from outside of the state. Because we wanted local contractors to be able to help employees and residents. And we know that about the size of our property, we would have assumed so much demand on the contractor side. So we actually went outside the state, brought all of the contractors in from outside, whether that was roofers, electricians, plumbers, whatever it may be, to bring them in and kind of do the work here for us to allow the local contractors to really take care of the residents and employees that we had.
I'm really touched. I'm touched by so many of the things that you said that I'd like to repeat a couple of the things back. The first thing you said was take care of everyone first. That was the first thing. It wasn't taking care of the building or the property. It was taking care of the team and each other and their families. And so what I think this is a great example of is the most empathetic leadership style, making sure that we're taking care of the team that makes things happen for us in a very deliberate way. And it's really, as hoteliers, that's what we strive to be every day, is that empathetic leader that says, I'm going to take care of my cast base, my employee base first. You then went on and said, safety is the most important thing we do. So we're going to err on the side of safety, whether for our structures and our own property or for that of our employees. We're going to make sure that everybody is safe and feel good about tackling their own safety. And I assume, Brent, that people's safety were in different places, right? Someone's house maybe wasn't touched and their neighbor might have lost almost everything.
Everything. Exactly. And, and that was one of the highest priorities for us is once everyone was safe was we do have a 33 room motel that we turned very quickly and we put displaced employees there. And that was, something that we thought of after the storm hit. When you go through these hurricane preparedness plans, that was never in our manual anywhere to say, hey, what do we do at the inlet? And we did that. So we turned that first and foremost before we got to any of the inns properties. We said, we have 33 rooms there with kitchenettes, with beds, with bathrooms. Let's get those up and going. Let's get generated power there. And we were able to put displaced employees there for the foreseeable future for them while they worked on their homes.
That's beautiful. And so this goes to what else I heard, which was be nimble. You didn't sit in a room, make a plan and know that that was the plan you were going to follow. You even said, hey, we've changed our direction and our plan. And what you did with the inlet, again, you had that, didn't have it in a manual somewhere and you just followed it as a checklist. You kind of had to make that up as you went along based upon the scenarios that you were given. And so you were really nimble in your leadership. And then the last one was, and I love this one too, you said essentially, think broadly and mindfully. So you made choices not to go the easy way, press the easy button and get all the local contractors and have them work for you. Yeah. You said it's important for us to take care of the community first. We'll figure out another solution for us.
Exactly. And that's how this community's built. You go back to the old Florida sayings and what it looks like. And we are the Chamber of Commerce for the island. Without the inn, the island struggles. So we knew on a daily basis, we had to get back up and going as well for everything else, whether that's a restaurant that's not associated with us, whether that's the real estate market, whether that's, someone that just rents golf carts downtown. Everything is kind of the catalyst of what we're able to do. And, it was tough, but I think seeing how people stepped up and seeing the compassion that they showed through all this is, very heartwarming and something that I never thought I would see in my career. And to see that and coming off a pandemic and all of these things that have been thrown at everyone, the leadership of everyone at this team within this community really stepped up to ensure, the successes that we're seeing today.
I think this is one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you is when I knew I was going to ask you about Hurricane Ian. And I also knew that I wasn't going to get, first we brought back power and then we fixed the roof and then we turned, we got our walk-ins working for food and then we set our opening dot. I got none of that. I got how to actually lead people, lead our teams, make a mindful difference. And at the end, you came out better. Yeah. You hit all the things that you wanted to hit. You got there. But you got there in a really mindful and wonderful way that put your community and your employees first. And so it's commendable. Please share how impressed all of us at SIA are with yourself, with your leadership team and everything that you did. It's really remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to go into a little bit of a speed round, I'll call it. And so when we think about hospitality leadership, to me, you can break it down into kind of a few key buckets. One is inherent leadership. You just gave me several examples, but kind of talk to me about your own. The second is management. Management is making that checklist. That's important too, as well. So talk to me about where you stand with that. The third is technical expertise. Sometimes we feel that we all need to be subject matter experts. And I think that the more responsibility that you start to take on in hospitality, you realize that you're not going to be the subject matter expert of everything. So how do you make that work? And the last one, which you've demonstrated so well in what we've spoken about already, is relationships. So I turn it over to you and I'll just have you go through these as you wish.
Well, perfect. And I think that, leadership is something that we look in 450 employees here. We feel like we have 450 leaders. And that doesn't necessarily have to be someone that's an executive director level or management level. Everyone has some type of leadership built into them. And we look for that when we are talking to employees and bringing them as part of the team. And that may be leadership with just the person they're working with that day. And it doesn't have to be authoritative figure. It may just be helping them that day. Maybe there's something personal going on in their lives that they need assistance with, and this person is the leader for them for that day. Because we all know there's this work-life balance that is tough. And, there's things that could be going on in their personal life that they need assistance with. We have leaders in this company that may not be in a management title, but they love to devote their time towards our employee events. And, the ice cream truck that comes and, the Christmas party, that's where they decide to lead and put those things too. So we always look, as we're adding team members here, is what leadership traits do they have within themselves? And it doesn't always have to be for the betterment of this property. I feel like that good rounded people will add to the betterment of this property, but it doesn't have to be specific to that. So on a leadership side, we know that is the first part of cultivating a dynamic leadership, is having persons that are happy to be here, happy to lead, and even with the smallest task of every day. When you speak to the management side, obviously we have a strategy. We're very goal oriented. We talk through these things, but on the operational day-to-day that we speak to, we attempt to deliver a philosophy. And that philosophy goes back to how the ownership interprets that this hotel should be. That's how the community interprets that it should be. But there's a philosophy that we take care of guests here, and we take care of our employees, and we take care of our membership. And we start with those things. And we think that as a management, although we do have strategies and we do have agendas and we are goal oriented, there are some things that are bigger picture that we have to look at to ensure that this property continues to evolve how it should be going forward. So we always task the team with, where do you want to be? Where do you want to grow? And where do you want this company to grow? So it's a very philosophical questioning sometimes for it of what that looks like, but it makes it more of a human interaction and going through instead of just listing those. So we talk about that a lot in our operational meetings. You speak to the technical side. Being a historical hotel, we don't have some of the liberties and freedoms that we could use, but we try to make sure that what we do keeps that historical intact. But there are things in behind the scenes that we want to become more efficient. We still use physical keys here. To get into your guest room is a key from the key slot right behind the front desk when you check in, and you get a physical key. We like that. That's the historical portion of it. However, to meet guest needs, some of those things aren't the best thing to have. So we do have some more interdepartmental or behind the scenes thing that we try to do to create for a better experience that the guests may not see, but they see the efficiencies, they see the speed, they see whatever that may fall to. So on a technical side, we're always having to work with that to balance that. Balance the historical side of the property. No guest room here is the same. Every single one of them is different, and a king room is not a king room. There's two different things. So as we go through and we educate our team and train the team to talk and discuss those things, that is some of the advantages of coming here to a historical property and seeing it. And the last point on relationships, I think that it makes the experience. And we have a very close team here, but I always kind of speak to them. Quiet is not good. When I ask, hey, how's the team doing? Well, we haven't really heard anything. Well, that's not good. We don't like quiet here. We want feedback. We want idea creation. We want to provide a seat at the table for everyone. And we want to build relationships as who you're comfortable to be with and comfortable to talk to. And we do that a lot. And we have international employees here. We have students that this is their first job that they're coming to, and they're leaving their families. So we have to build those relationships on a team side of it first, because then that type of continuity then broadcasts out to your guests and members while they're here. And, so the relationships you have with employee, guests, and members are what sets us apart, and how we feel, when we get comment cards and they're name specific for a housekeeper. That is the biggest compliment I think you can receive. And I think when you write your comment card, when you leave here and say housekeeping was clean, or maintenance was very attainable, or food and beverage, whatever it may be, we can look for the specific names, and we get that a lot. And I think that's just a testament to the relationships that the management team and everyone else, whether they've been seasonal, whether here part-time, whatever it may be, we allow them to have those times of idea creation, encourage feedback and comments, and see how that works going forward.
That was awesome. I wrote down one word that stuck out to me. It's not a word that you said, but it's what came to mind as you were speaking, is that you're a culture of purpose. And every one of your leaders and employees has a purpose, hopefully with a shared vision on bringing Gasparilla into life for your guests that have been there for many generations, and hopefully will be for many to come. But it's really wonderful hearing you articulate that so passionately and eloquently. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to leave us with one final question. And I'm actually speaking to all of those that are listening today, because when we put together this Lessons in Leadership summary, it was really for you that are our general managers of the future, for you that will be leading us into this next gen of hoteliers, for you that will keep our business strong, for you that leadership matters. And so, Brent, what is the lesson that you'd like to share with our leaders of tomorrow?
Well, good. So I kind of have a couple to go through, and I know as you hear these, you'll kind of see some of the points that we hit earlier. And first and foremost, take care of everyone every day. And that is just not during a hurricane. That is not just onboarding process. It is every single day. It is speaking to persons. It is talking, understanding what's going on to ensure that if there is a need or there is a change or an alteration that needs to be made, that you have that. And I think great leaders do that more so than just the job functions of a daily basis. It's more than that. It's knowing kind of what's going on. So take care of everyone every day. Secondly, encourage growth and understand what makes everyone tick. In the hospitality industry, and I know we talk about this frequently, you have staffing concerns, you have people that want to grow within the industry. And I think it's very important that we put those type of placeholders into regard so that we can understand how people want to grow within their careers. And I think that at this point within the industry, we need to ensure that people want to be in this industry, they have the passion for it, but we have to understand too, there is a life outside of it. And whether that's working long hours, whatever it may be, we understand that there has to be a balance there. So we encourage the growth here. We have some great manager and training programs that we utilize, and that's just not growth into management positions. It may be growth into a supervisory position or something that you're not accustomed to that you want to try. So we really try to allow people to grow within and to get them in the right steps of moving forward. Thirdly, willingness to adapt quickly. And that's not always just in a catastrophic storm. You need to adapt and understand that sometimes information may come a little bit slower to you, and you've got to make those changes, but you have to do it quickly. And sometimes once you mull over it and you think too much into your gut feeling has kind of got you to where you need to be. So that willingness to adapt, I think, is a huge portion of for a lesson in leadership. Kind of on the same thing for number 4 would be pivot if need be. You have discussions, you think about it, but at the end of the day, if something's not working, pivot, change it, and make the change and have the confidence in doing so. There's nothing wrong with going down the wrong road and having to turn around and do something different. But standing up, taking that drive and pivoting is very important. Lastly, and this is one we talk about a lot, no bad decisions, yet better decisions. And we feel like that our team here, whether that's a management level, whether that is a seasonal level, wherever that may fall, we know that every single person here has the best interest of the hotel. We feel like we give the tools, whether that's the analytical tools, whether that's the skill set, the knowledge, whatever it may be, to make great decisions, to make best decisions. However, sometimes those decisions just don't work. And that doesn't necessarily make it a bad decision. It's just always a time that there may have been a better decision to talk about. So we talk through that a lot. No bad decision, yet better decisions, and to trust your team. And there's a reason that they are here. There's a reason that they're in the room with us. is to make those decisions. We know that they have the skill set and the knowledge to do so. And sometimes they don't work out exactly how they'd be, but that's the time that you sit down and you can really nurture and trust everybody that's there.
Thank you, Brent. Those were some really valuable lessons. And thank you for your inspiration today. And for all of you that are watching this, let's make sure we take Brent's inspiration today and action it for inspiration that we can use ourselves for tomorrow. So thank you for watching Lessons in Leadership, sponsored by the Southern Innkeepers Association. We're signing off with Brent Frost from the Gasparilla Inn, and it's been a great day. So really appreciate your time. Bye, everybody. Thank you.